Imagine yourself standing quietly in a grand museum, surrounded by silence, when suddenly your eyes fall upon a Picasso painting you've never seen before. You're standing in a museum, facing a Picasso. The name is familiar, you've heard it countless times. You know his reputation. A giant of 20th century art, co-founder of Cubism, a man with many phases, the Blue Period, the Rose Period, Neoclassicism, Surrealism. You also know about his complicated personal life, especially his relationships with women. But this work in front of you, night fishing at Antibes, or however the French is pronounced, you've never seen it before. The wall label gives only the basics, leaving you curious for more. So, how do you approach it? I like to think there are 5 different ways to look at a Picasso, and the first is often the simplest. Just observe. Pay attention to what's on the canvas. Describe it to yourself. Here, 2 fishermen in a small boat hunt by lamplight. One man leans forward with his spear, hesitating before striking a fish. The other rests against the edge, a line tied to his ankle, watching with unease. Above them, moths flutter around the glowing arc of the lamp. To the left, purple forms hint at towers. To the right, 2 women, one with a bicycle, one with an ice cream gesture toward the boat, though the men don't seem to notice. My first impression is mixed. There's tension, almost a sense of threat, in the poised spear and the glinting fish. Yet, at the same time, the composition feels balanced, colors and figures arranged in a way that makes the scene strangely calm, even enchanting. It's an ordinary act, fishing at night transformed into something magical. And that takes us to the second way of looking at the painting. At its most straightforward level, this is a scene of night fishing. The glowing shape at the top of the canvas could be read either as the moon or as an acetylene lamp, the type traditionally used by spear fishermen to draw fish toward the surface. Another lamp appears beneath the boat. On the left, the 2 purple towers almost certainly represent the Chateau Grimaldi today, home to a Picasso museum. The body of water is the French Riviera at Antibes, a resort town in the south of France, where Picasso spent the summer of 1939. His secretary recalled that he would often walk through town after dinner, notice men fishing by lamplight, and then retreat to his studio, working obsessively on this enormous painting, the largest he had attempted since Guernica, completed 2 years earlier. The structure of night fishing reflects Picasso's stylistic evolution after Guernica. The work retains echoes of Cubism in the flattened picture plane and reliance on geometric form, but it also draws on surrealism and primitivism, where human faces verge on mask-like. As with much of Picasso's art from Cubism onward, the figures are not shown as they appear in reality, but as they are imagined. Each body is built from elements that connect it to other figures and to the composition as a whole. This is why, as critic Douglas Morgan argued, it's misleading to describe Picasso's figures as distorted or grotesque. They're not deviations from a natural form because Picasso never set out to reproduce a natural form in the first place. In night fishing, the people on the canvas are not designed for us to empathize with in the usual sense. Instead, they are meant to be seen directly and starkly. That kind of vision is how Picasso conveys meaning most powerfully. And what meanings are at play here? To answer that, we need to look at both the formal qualities and the historical context. Picasso's opposition to Franco was already immortalized in his great mural Guernica, one of the most powerful anti-war images ever created. In many ways, night fishing at Antibes feels like a quieter companion to that earlier work. Rather than showing violence unleashed, Picasso captures the pause right before it happens. A fisherman holding a spear above his prey, suspended in hesitation. The fish will almost certainly be struck. But in this instant, there is still the possibility of restraint, and with that, a flicker of hope. Picasso reinforces this idea by painting the spear-wielding hand with unusual realism, making it the most naturalistic part of the canvas. As the eye moves outward, however, the surrounding forms grow increasingly abstract and unstable. The overall mood remains uneasy, even ominous. The light above could just as easily be read as a twisting comet as it could a moon or lamp. A sudden patch of crimson, the only red in the painting, intensifies the sense of danger. Moths swirl like dark omens. The women's jetty seems precarious, and the town in the background dissolves into chaos. These visual tensions may foreshadow the looming devastation of Europe. Yet more personally, they might echo Picasso's grief over the loss of his homeland to dictatorship, a wound that weighed heavily on him. Still, The story of the painting isn't complete without looking at another layer: Picasso's personal life. Who are the people on this canvas meant to be? Let's begin with the women, both of whom are trying to capture the attention of the fisherman. The two women on the right approach the fisherman differently. The one nearest to the light raises her arms in an elegant, almost theatrical gesture, while the other appears more casual, licking an ice cream cone. Her figure, with its exaggerated head shape and emphasized curves, comes across as overtly sensual. Though the contrast is problematic in its gendered framing, these women are often interpreted as stand-ins for people in Picasso's own life. His wife, Olga, and a merging of two of his lovers, Marie-Thérèse Walter and Dora Maar, the latter being with him in Antibes at the time. As for the fisherman, the figure with the spear can be read as Picasso himself, or at least as the version of himself he aspired to. Bold, focused, pushing forward without distraction. Yet this character seems bound to his partner, another fisherman who embodies the opposite qualities: passive, hesitant, tethered by a fishing line around his foot. Formally, one is built of sharp verticals and diagonals, while the other dissolves into looping, curved shapes. Placed against the backdrop of recent history and the defiant urgency of Guernica, this duality might reflect Picasso's own inner struggle. Not only the tension between strength and weakness within himself, but also the artist's helplessness in the face of overwhelming political and personal loss. His mother had died earlier that year, Spain had fallen under Franco's dictatorship, and Europe itself was on the brink of war. Perhaps that's why the boat drifts in an uncertain space, neither fully with the women nor anchored to the town. Perhaps that's why the painting feels so unsettled, even while it dazzles with color and light. Of course, many more interpretations are possible. This is just one path among many. What matters most isn't sticking rigidly to a single method of analysis, but recognizing how the different perspectives, your immediate reaction, the literal content, the form, the historical moment, the personal context all weave together. Each angle reveals something new, and together they build a fuller picture. Picasso's legacy is so vast, and the scholarship around him so divided, that in the end, the best approach might be the simplest. Take in the work yourself, and decide what it means to you. And maybe that's the real magic of Picasso. His paintings don't just show us something, they ask us to see in our own way. Now I'd love to know, what did you see in this painting? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if this journey into art inspired you, don't forget to like the video and share it with friends. Your support helps bring more stories like this to life.